Powered by Riverside.
Good day, Mr. White.
Good day, Mrs. Angel. How are you today?
Oh, it has been a week. It's been a week of teaching, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I'm here, and it has been a week, though, which is what happens in teaching. How about you?
It's been a week. No, it definitely has been a week. I tell you what, holidays seem like a long time ago, don't they?
I mean, I remember right back at the start, you said the good thing about teaching is you only ever kind of, not very far away from a holiday. It does seem a long way away right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
I barely remember them.
So I haven't got a psychology degree, but I have been told many times in my teaching life that there is a process that we go through at the start of the year, which is a forming, storming, conforming, performing.
Ooh,
have you heard of that before?
Tell me more.
And perhaps there is actually another stage at the end, which I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I have definitely reminded my staff of this process right now, not because we're deep into any one particular part of that phase right now of the norming, storming,
Yes,
conforming, and performing. But that is just what happens. And all I can say is I can look forward to the performing stage, and it's coming. And this is just a very natural process that happens in any stage of a teaching season. And at the very start of the year, everybody's just working out their place in everything.
Yep, very good. I'm glad that there is some sort of formula that goes with that. I feel better. I feel better in knowing that the performing is just around the corner.
It is just around the corner, absolutely. And so hang in there to any of our teacher friends who are in Australia right now where we've kicked off the school year. They're in good hands, and know that this is just perfectly normal psychology, and they're going to come out the other end. So hang in there. All right, so I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Video Pro. They have been supporting schools and teachers with audio-visual equipment all around Australia, and you look great. It looks like the sun is shining on you right now, Mr. White, because of some of the amazing equipment that Video Pro have sent to us.
It was great. It was so good. I went to pick up the stuff from the post office that Video Pro sent. It's amazing. There's a microphone. There's a big round light. Headphones, camera, all sorts of things. Fantastic. Love it. Thank you very much. This thing
that's holding this thing into place, I'm sure we sound much better. And how valued do we feel on behalf of all teachers that they wanted to get on board with this podcast so we can be celebrating everything teaching?
Absolutely. Thanks, Video Pro. Fantastic.
So we have a bit of exciting news. We've looked at our stats from the last couple of weeks, and we have seen that there are quite a few new listeners from around the world. Ooh. So we have a number. So our listeners, I've got some good news and bad news, if I'm being honest, Mr. White. We have a lot of listeners in the US and in the UK right now, and obviously a lot of people from Australia, which is great.
Yep.
And fantastic. I am afraid that we have lost our listener from Spain.
Miguel.
No. So we need to do everything we can to bring our Spanish listener back and maybe spread the word even beyond the UK and America and Australia, and because there are 80 million teachers out there, and we want to be connecting with them all around the world to be saying thank you for choosing education as your profession, and well done for everything you're doing with your students every day. And what I know, I've done some research because a bit of a numbers girl, and what I know is that in the US we have over 4 million teachers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say listeners.
No.
4 million teachers. How good is that?
4 million teachers. So they're 4 million potential listeners. But there is 4 million teachers in the US, and there is over 550,000 teachers in the UK. So I want to say hi to our listeners in America and in the United Kingdom. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, big thank you to our Australian listeners. It's great to have you on board, and I know that you're in the early stages of the year for our Australian listeners. So that forming, storming, conforming, and performing stages would be resonating potentially right now.
Just around the corner.
Just around the corner is the conforming and performing. Please hang in there.
What we want.
All right. So why is this podcast really important to you, Whitey?
This podcast is super important because for too long teachers have been maligned and the profession has been spoken down about. Like people say they're overworked, underpaid, you have to deal with horrible students and horrible parents. And it's just, there is a bit of that, I suppose, but on the whole, absolutely not. On the whole, it is a rocking profession. You get to deal with young people all the time. No 2 days are ever the same. The parents, if you're very lucky, if you're lucky, the parents are brilliant as well. Even when you get some that are, prickly, all they are is a little bit worried. All they are is concerned, and they don't know what they're doing. So if you just sort of, explain things to them, tell them that you're on their side, they turn on to you. They're great. They're brilliant. And just making sure that teaching should be a profession that is celebrated. And what we are trying to do is just that.
Exactly. Hence the Teachers Change Lives. And we heard from Jen Travascus last week, and exactly that story about the parents. The parents want the best for their students.
Yeah.
Teachers want the absolute best for those kids.
Yep.
And so it is about that, finding that meeting in the middle of how can we actually get the best out of every student that we have in front of us. And without a doubt, it's been a profession that I've dedicated over 20 years to. And I don't intend on going anywhere else because there is plenty of magical moments every day as part of being a teacher.
Yeah, and the profession is very lucky to have you, Shaz. It's fantastic.
Oh, stop it, Mr. White. Stop it.
Stop it.
So we're introducing a new segment this week.
Oh, we are, yes.
Tell us about that.
We are magical moments. So what we're looking for are moments in everyday teaching life where you've had a win, where you've seen the light switch on in the student's head. Something has happened where you've seen them click. They've gone up a grade, they've gone up a level. You can see that they're actually progressing in their learning. And tell you what, just seeing that happens is such a rush. There is nothing like finishing a good lesson and reflecting on it. And there is nothing like seeing that light bulb go off in a student's mind where you can see that they've made a connection or they've got to the next level, they've developed a bit of confidence, whatever it is. So we're looking for magical moments, couple of minutes, just explaining that moment and sharing that moment.
And we've got an absolute ripper already this week. So what are the other segments that we will cover in today?
We've got Whitey's Weekly Wisecrack, of course, which is a personal favourite.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. And we've got a teaching tale, which is a story that can only really happen in a school setting, whether that's on camp or on excursion or in the classroom or even in the staff room, whatever it is, a teaching tale. It's a funny, interesting story that's, is the basis of a barbecue story, a dinner party story that only teachers can tell because only teachers experience them.
Absolutely. So you can get involved as a listener. So we're hoping that our listeners out there are teachers, most definitely. You might be a teacher aide, an assistant teacher. You might be an administrative officer in a school. You might be a cleaner. You might be a teacher lover. You might be a parent of a teacher. Any person can tell one of these stories. You may have been a student and you've had an amazing, magical moment, a wisecrack or a teaching tale that you want to share with us. So if you want to do that, you can do that in many different platforms. We have our email address, so teacherschangelivespodcast@gmail.com. You can send that directly to us there. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Teachers Change Lives Podcast, or you can find us on TikTok, also at, surprisingly, Teachers Change Lives podcast. And shout out to our TikTok fans. You were really loving our teaching tales and Whitey's Wisecracks. So thank you very much. And also we are on the Twitter. We're on the Twitter, which is at TCL_Pod_Shaz. Sorry, I left you out of that one, Mr. White.
Right.
I think we ran out
right.
of letters.
Yeah,
so
sure, that's
yes.
what happened. I'm sure that's what happened.
All
All right, so let's...
Awkward.
No, awkward. That's all right. Let's kick off with hearing from one of our listeners from Queensland and her magical moments from this week.
Beautiful. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Taylor. I'm a junior school teacher here in Queensland, and over the last 3 weeks of term 1, I have experienced so many different magical moments, but there is one I would like to share in particular. This week, I saw a massive improvement in 2 of my students in terms of English. When they first started at my school this year, they hated reading, they hated writing, and they couldn't spell on their own. But this week, I saw these 2 students jump into my English lesson, give everything a go. They joined in the activities, they joined in the games, and they can now tell me what a noun is and give me examples of a noun on their own, no prompting needed. That is a huge, huge highlight in my teaching career already for term 1. Thank you.
Oh,
How good's that?
Mr. White.
How good's that? I know. Goosebumps.
It is goosebump worthy,
Goosebumps.
isn't it?
That's what it's
These
about.
young teachers, so we are in a teacher shortage and, a teacher crisis right now.
Mhm.
And then hearing somebody, a young teacher like that, verbalize, that's a big win. You're an English teacher. That's a big win, isn't it?
That is a big win. Absolutely, it is. Huge win. And it's great. I mean, that's what we do this for, and that's what we want to shine a light on as part of this podcast as well. Is just these moments happen, but no one hears about them.
No.
We want to share them. They're great. They're brilliant. They are. You literally are walking on air for the rest of the day after an experience like that. It's
absolute rock star. You have just allowed students to understand the world a little bit better because of what you've done in that class. And it's, it's in a classroom, there's such a wide range of students. So in my school is all about teaching to those students who've been left behind before. So to hear of 2 students who have been possibly left behind before, having that big aha moment, that would have made a massive difference in their life and their family life as well. Yep. So well done, Taylor. Yep. You are
Good work, Taylor. Well done.
Absolutely changing lives, and you should be proud of yourself, and we're super proud of you. So, yeah, you. Was that you just right? Cool. Okay.
We're all good.
Wonderful. Excellent. So have you, how's your week been? Have you had a magical moment that you want to share?
I've had a magical moment. I teach English, but I also teach geography. And being the start of the year, we're teaching concepts. So my year 11s, I got them to break down the 12 geographical concepts. I won't go through them all right now, but one group, and then had to break down, define them, come up with examples, and then present to the class their understanding of those concepts. And these 2 girls had spatial association and interconnection, 2 geographical concepts. And they decided, instead of coming up with your normal PowerPoint presentation, they thought they would write a rap. And not just write a rap, but perform it. Perform a rap. And I tell you what, everyone was gobsmacked. It was amazing. They had a backing track and everything. They put down the sick beat. It was amazing. They managed to rhyme tsunami, which is obviously something that we look at in geography. They managed to rhyme tsunami with salami. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, that's a sick rhyme right there. Absolutely. No, it was great because they really got into it. They enjoyed it, and I could see that they understood the material, but they were having fun in expressing that knowledge and understanding. So that was a magic moment for me. I really enjoyed that. How about you, Shaz? You got one?
I do. I say every day is a good day at MSA. This week it does. We this week though was a little bit different for me. We've kicked off the year. We're only on day in Queensland right now. We're on day 12, I believe, because there's been a public holiday and we had a swimming carnival in there. Very early in the school year, we had 2 students who were actually had to go to hospital and haven't come out of hospital as yet. And they were in, surprisingly, 2 of our students, we only have 180 students in the same hospital in Queensland. So I went to visit them in hospital, and they had only actually attended about 5 days. They were both about those students are 2 new students. And so they had only attended, one of the students on level 5 in the hospital had attended 2 days, and the other student on level 8 had attended 5 days of school. So really difficult attending a new school and, trying to fit in at the very start. And so we had had some cards written from lots of staff members and students who wanted to write a card for these 2 students who were in hospital. Nice. And I had the absolute privilege of being able to hand over those cards and gifts on behalf of the school to these students who were in hospital after having only started with us for such a short amount of time and already built such important connections and relationships, and seeing the impact of that on those students who have had a really rough start to the year, and just being able the privilege of being involved in that and to see the impact that had on them is a really significant, magical moment for me as even 20 plus years into my career. To be a part of that was really, really that was something I'm not going to forget.
Yeah, warm and fuzzies. That's fantastic.
So many warm and fuzzies.
It doesn't get old, does it? I mean, whatever it is, those sorts of interconnections that you make, connections that you make, and you can really address people and connect with them as people, not as teacher student. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we're all looking in the same direction. We're trying to support each other and help each other. And so, what a fantastic initiative for your school to have undertaken. What a great experience for you to have gone and been the pointy end of that.
And those families, I just want to shout out to those families out there who it gave me a whole lot of gratitude for my life, and so those families who are dealing with so much and supporting their child and also trying to navigate their education, and you're doing such amazing work, and hang in there, and your school is going to be really happy to connect with you, and please reach out to them because they're a really important part of the village that is there for your child. And so it was a privilege to be part of that village in that moment. So please, you're not alone. Please, teachers, parents, know that you're not alone, and reach out to your schools. And there's a lot of people there who can help you to support your child. And we care about you and we love you.
Absolutely. Village is utmost important. Really good.
Absolutely. We heard that was really resonated with our interview last week with Jen Travaskis. And it takes a village to raise a child and support every child through their educational journey.
It's absolutely true.
All right. So, Mr. Whiteman.
Yes, Mrs. Angel.
Excellent. So, we know that you're kind of renowned for your wisecracking in your classes. Yes. So, I'm assuming you've got one ready. If you don't, I'm going to play the intro and have one at the ready. Here we go.
Whitey's Weekly Wisecracks. What do you got, Mr. White?
Sorry, I know. I can't get over that intro. It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah. Musical whisper, no expense on our introduction.
Brilliant. All
right, what you got?
So I was teaching Macbeth to some year 10s. This is going back a few years now. And a boy I was teaching, Shakespeare wasn't his thing. He wasn't vibing with it. And I was really struggling to make a connection with him and getting to see that it's actually a really cool play full of really cool themes. And he said, Mr. White, I'm gonna really try. Awesome, brilliant. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to sit down and you're going to write an essay for me, and you're going to write as much as you can, telling me as much about the play as possible. He goes, okay, I'll give it a try. So the next day he fronts up. He's written an introduction, which is great. He's written most of a paragraph, which is pretty good, and a topic sentence for his second paragraph. So he didn't quite get there. And I said, mate, look, your essay, it's a bit like a short Mexican. I said, what do you mean, Mr. White? I said, well, it's not a full essay. And he got it. He dug it. He loved it.
Okay.
You like that one?
I do.
You like it?
I don't know. My finger is genuinely poised between the clapping, cheering, bad joke,
Ooh.
laughing. I don't know. I don't know.
I stumped you. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
But you know what? He got it.
He got it.
And then how'd he go in the end?
Not
You
a
pull it
full
together?
essay. He did. He wrote it.
Pulled
We
together
got
a full
him to write
essay?
a full essay. He did. He grew into a full-size Mexican, so it's fine. He produced a full-size Mexican. It was brilliant.
What a legend. What a legend.
Oh, that was a few years ago now. So I'm glad I've got that one out of the way.
And I wish that kid the very best in his life.
I remember him well. He was a big
excellent.
fan of Walter White and that show. What was that show?
Oh, Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. He loved Walter White and he kept calling me Walter. Give him my surname.
Perfect. I'm glad that was the correlation there, because if it had been any other connection.
No, that's what it was. He was right into Breaking Bad. He loved it.
About the right. Loved it. And great show. If you haven't watched it, then
It is a
absolutely.
great show.
You need to get on board. I don't know, maybe I need to rewatch that again, actually. It was a great show. Yeah. All right. Nice work, Mr. White. Nice work. All right. So let's go into our teaching tales. So what's a teaching tale?
So teaching tale is a tale that only a teacher can tell. A story that happens in the school or around the school where you're interacting with students. Funny things happen, weird things happen. And this is why teachers are so good at dinner parties and barbecues, because we've got all these stories. Have you got one for us, Shaz?
Oh, here we go. Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, we do, Mr.
Ooh,
White.
sounds interesting. I love it.
Teaching
I'm excited.
Yes, we do.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh, interesting.
All right. It's a good story. It's a very, very good story. Coming out of central Queensland. I think our last one was from southeast Queensland. So there's about 800 kilometres between southeast Queensland and central Queensland for our United Kingdom and American listeners. It's quite a distance, actually. All right. So this student was in a home economics cooking class. All right. And so shout out to all of our home ec teachers. You've done a lot of risk assessments for your classes to prepare. So he was, what are we going to call this student? We're going to call him Philip.
Philip. Is that because that was his name?
Nope.
Oh,
His name was definitely not Philip. I've just decided that for today he was Philip. So Philip was a little bit naughty. He was a little bit naughty. He was being a bit disruptive. I don't know. There's probably not many of these kids around the world. Or maybe there is. And so he was calling out, he was talking, he was chewing gum, he was getting himself in a bit of mischief. He wasn't really following the teacher's instructions. And in a home ec class, when you're cooking with knives and stuff, it's pretty important that you are following the teacher instructions.
True.
So the class was cooking a curry, a Thai curry, if you may. And one of the ingredients in this Thai curry was, by chance, they had to chop up a red chili.
Oh.
Students had been warned several times to wash their hands thoroughly.
Yes.
I feel like you know where this is going. Yes. So during the cooking demonstration, this had been shown again and again, checking for understanding, and the teacher had checked in with Philip a number of times to make sure that he really knew what was going on.
Go get him.
So, unfortunately, later, after the class, they'd done the cooking and it had, so Philip had made it through the lesson somewhat with a lot of instruction. The home economics teacher was walking past the school administration office and they saw Philip sitting there on a chair in the waiting room, and he was looking a bit sad and a bit uncomfortable. And
yes.
The teacher was able to ask him if he was okay. He was not okay. If anybody is I just want to make it really clear out there that Philip was not okay.
Poor
So
thing.
Philip had not washed his hands appropriately, and we know that for certain because Philip was
Yes.
burning.
Oh.
Philip was burning.
Yes.
Burning.
Whereabouts?
He was burning on a place. He had gone to the toilet sometime after that lesson, and he had gone to the toilet, and he had not quite evidently washed his hands appropriately, as had been demonstrated, and the checking for understanding. And there he was, sitting in admin. He was burning.
Oh,
And
come on, Philip.
I feel like Philip learnt a very valuable lesson in that moment. I'd love to hear from many Philips out there who might have either learnt this lesson the hard way during a home economics class, or I'm sure there's lots of Philips out there who might have learnt this lesson, wish that they had been in a home economics lesson with this amazing teacher who was very clear on what you need to do if you are making a Thai red curry and you are chopping up a chili.
Absolutely.
So,
ouch.
Watch the lesson here. Philip, wash your hands
I reckon there are a few
repeatedly,
lessons here.
thoroughly, repeatedly and thoroughly. Repeat repeatedly and thoroughly.
And
All
listen
right.
to your teacher. Listen to your teacher.
They're not just putting words out of their mouth. They know what they're talking about.
Yes.
Wash your hands. Follow those instructions.
Yes.
Take care.
Yes.
Take care, Philip. Take care.
Vast majority of what we say is for your own safety and comfort. So come on.
Absolutely. We're here. We care about you. We don't want any part of you to ever feel like it's on fire.
That's right. Absolutely. Especially not the part that I'm assuming that this was.
Thank you for reading into that, Mr. White. Thank you for picking up what I'm putting down.
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear your magical moments. We want to hear your if you've got a wisecrack that can rival Mr. White's, or just saying.
I'll have to bounce back next week. I don't think that was particularly strong.
Okay. Well, your words, not mine. If you've got if you have a teaching tale, those crazy stories that Philip really, anything that little Philip, little Johnny, little Billy, little Meredith needs to know that you've been able to share at a party, please send them through. You can send them through on our email account, which is teacherschangelivespodcast@gmail.com. You can send that through on a direct message on our Instagram, on our Facebook, or we'd love to hear from you on TikTok. And obviously we've also got our Twitter account, which is at @TCLpod_Shaz. Sorry, Mr. White. Any reviews out there? So we're wanting you on any of those. We also want you to subscribe to our podcast. So you can find us on any podcast platform. We would love you to subscribe, favorite our podcast, 5-star rating. We'd love to hear your reviews. So